So who slid into whose DM?
Yeah.
This is the meeting of the sexes on Instagram, guys.
Sure.
How did it happen? What up, sis? Welcome to Girl, We Got This. Today's guest, Justin Davis. Sis, you know we got this, right? But I had to bring on a man that I literally needed at one point of my life after this breakup. And I was like, yo, Justin is like my brother. So it's only fitting that the first man on the podcast is my brother, Justin Davis. Welcome to Girl, We Got This.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
I'm so damn excited. First of all, ladies, let me tell you a bit about this man.
Yeah.
He's a model. Go to his Instagram right now, Justin Davis. Actually, no, it's Mr. Just Davis.
Yeah, Mr.
I
Just
always
Davis.
do that.
Really?
I always put Just, and I'm like, no, it's Mr.
Yeah, maybe because yours is proper.
Yeah.
Letitia,
Yeah,
that role.
but you're the Mister, so I get it. So
yeah.
he's a model, and he's the host of this new incredible podcast, Who Can Relate, which I'm so stoked about.
Yeah.
Yo, it's actually dropping right now.
Yes, it's live. Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Where can they check it out?
Yeah, so YouTube, which is Just Davis 88. And then Apple, Spotify, all the podcast platforms. Sorry, it's weird for me to talk about it because it's so new to me.
Yeah.
And that's why this was so cool, because, you know, you are the catalyst as to why I got, started in this podcast game. You let me shadow you.
Hell yeah.
You know, I got to watch you in action, watch you live. And I had this feeling of like, man, like I want to do this, and you were like the perfect person to shadow with it. So again, it's weird for me. Yeah. It's weird for me to like shout out my stuff.
But can we change this word weird? Because I've been doing
Sure.
this for myself. Like, it's actually not weird. It's just something new for us. It's fucking beautiful what you're creating.
Thank you.
So like we say weird and crazy because we're actually uncomfortable, but it's actually beautiful. Like it's such a beautiful feeling, like creating this baby of yours. I know how much it means to you.
Yeah.
Who Can Relate is going to be so powerful. I'm on the episode that he's going to drop today.
Yeah.
And then he has this beautiful episode with his wife and his daughter. You guys can go check that out actually right now.
Yeah, for sure.
But
yeah, so the show is about people discovering their higher self through adversity. We all go through it. Vulnerability, we should go through it more. Yeah. And then self-love, we definitely should go through that more. You know, my whole thing is like everybody's going through something in life, but nobody wants to talk about it until you hear someone else talking about it first. I would like to be that bridge for a lot of people, And it's funny because I was always that bridge for my friends and family, like, JD, I'm going through this. What do you think? What do you think? And it was natural for me. I just love helping people, period. I don't want anything from you. I just want to help you. And it's always coming from, and you'll see on the show, it's always coming from, my heart. It's not coming from, I'm not an expert in any field, but I have definitely failed time and time again. I'm sure we'll find out today. And instead of taking those, at the time I thought losses, I put them into lessons, and I just made sure that I did everything I could to not make those same mistakes 5 times.
It's called life. It's called life.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah,
like this
absolutely.
is the game of life that we're playing. And I think it's so beautiful. Who can relate? We all need someone to relate. And I feel like the times that we're in right now, Justin, there's not a better time than to drop this powerful platform that you're creating. So
thank you.
Let's just, ladies.
I appreciate it, man.
Look, he's a gift. He's a gift. And I'm telling you, our episode is fire. Like, I'm really excited about our episodes. And mind you, guys, I got to tell you, it was right when I had my last breakup. Yeah. And I actually had called Justin when I had broken up with him. And I was like so confused and distraught. And like, he put me on and I was like, yo, I needed that. I needed that. So we talk a lot about that on the podcast. Yeah. But I want to rewind a bit. I want to tell the audience, everybody listening and watching, how we met.
Sure.
Because I think that was such a pivotal moment for me personally in my life. So Justin and I both model, and we met on a shoot. What was it, for the Marriott or some hotel in Colorado?
Some hotel, like Denver, something like that. Yeah.
We were in Denver, and he was my partner. We were shooting together, and we just clicked. Like we just started talking like fluently. I was like, I knew this guy from another lifetime. And like we started talking about the podcast and life. And he told me about his wife, and they were getting engaged, like the whole thing. And I was just
wow, I wasn't even engaged.
No,
yet? Whoa,
you were planning it. I saw the whole plan.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful moment for me because in that moment I was like, this man loves his wife. Like, like this man loves this woman, Shay, who's on her, literally on his shirt.
Yeah.
Shay, shout out to Shay though. Can we shout out to Shay?
For
the
sure,
beautiful, cool ass, smart woman.
Yeah.
He literally was like so in love with her. And I was, in my head, I was like, wow, I have never met a man in my adult life in my 30s that was like devoted to his wife.
Yeah.
But in a sense, he wore her on her shirt with so much pride. First and foremost, he showed me like the things that he did for her birthday with the super romantic, like this sweet love. And I was like, for me as a woman, when I meet like models or attractive men, they always have ulterior motives. And with you and I, it was like friendship from the jump. And there was never any, I never felt any type of way. So like a lot of women, my friends and I talk about this, and I'm like, no, there are men. And I was like, and there are black men that respect you too.
Yeah, totally.
You know, so I want to say thank you because you gave me hope for men that I can actually have friends. I have a best friend, Philip, but that's from high school.
Yeah.
So having male friends as adults, I feel like it's such a interesting world dynamic.
Yeah, it's a funny subject, you know, like the whole friends of the opposite sex thing, you know, but it's all, to me, it comes down to communication.
Yes.
Not only communication with that friend of the opposite sex, but communication with your partner about having friends of the opposite sex. Now, my wife and I have a rule that works for us, and it's just simply, you can have friends of the opposite sex, but they can't, you have to stay within the realm of these two conditions. One is you can't have any type of sexual relationship with them in the past. That's number one. Number two is, and we're still trying to work this out, but number two is it's strange to have a new friend of the opposite sex. Yeah. Okay. So like if I'm on a photo shoot, right? Like, and that was interesting. This is perfect. Cause I remember I was like, you know, called her on my way to the hotel or whatever, you know, I'm like, babe, I met this really cool girl, Letitia, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, we have a good relationship, and it's a very, again, open communication relationship. So, you know, I tell her everything, vice versa. And I think if I were to ask her, you know, I think there was a vibe that I had and an energy I had when speaking about you. You know, it was very, very open and very like, man, and she's an actress, and I'm trying to get signed with a commercial agent. And I think she was like, okay, cool. And then I will say this on her behalf, because she told me this about you. It was when you had kind of reached out to her, like you followed her on Instagram. You were like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. I just work with JD, blah, Justin, blah, blah, blah. And that said a lot to her. That sent her a certain message, right? Because there's a lot of women, you know, that there are men that you would meet and women that I would meet that wouldn't maybe do that. You know what I'm saying? That's true. So that helped out a lot. So again, that whole, the two rules are you can't have any type of sexual relationship with that friend. And then also like a new friend, it's got to be under certain guidelines, you know? So,
I think it's all about respect. You guys have this really beautiful relationship that we're going to dive into, but it's respect. And like, I felt that respect from jump, and it was just this cool, easy, like, I was like, Justin's dope. And we actually recorded this really cool ass, like, I don't even know, like we were just on talking about life. Yeah. And we just hit record. I'm going to drop it. You guys actually can see it on my personal Instagram right now. Yeah. But, you know, it's just cool to be able to meet humans that have no ulterior motive, that are kind. Because ladies, I want you to know that there are men out there.
There is hope.
That respect you. There's a lot of hope in this world.
Chivalry is not dead.
It's not.
I'm like a big advocate about that. Because I mean, so also more piece of the context, I have a daughter. Yes. You know, who's 12. So she's a little woman. And so for me, it's always been, am I going to be the man I want my daughter to date, let alone marry? So I've always had that at the forefront. And I'm also from Chicago. So they raise men different out there.
Tell us about the Midwest, because I don't know about the Midwest. You know what I'm saying? Where are you from, Justin?
Yeah, so born and raised in Chicago. Yeah. The Midwest is very similar to like the South. Okay. In the sense of, if you don't have kids and or married before you're 30, you are either something's wrong with you, or they have pity and sympathy for you. Wow. Oh, it's okay, honey. Don't worry. He's out there. Or it's okay, man. You'll be. And I'm like, but I want to be single. You know, not me, but a lot of single people in Chicago and the Midwest, like, no, I'm good. You know. So yeah, there's a whole different way you're conditioned as a kid. So for me, I also come from a broken home. So, you know, single mom raised me. I have siblings, but they're half and they're older. So I was, you know, single child, only child by a single mom. And I really raised myself. So I was alone a lot. And I remember thinking growing up, like being envious of my friends who had the stay-at-home mom and dad, you know, and I'm like, man, like I wish I could have that family dinner time thing. Because I only got it on TV.
Wow.
I never had it, you know, so I've been yearning for that since I was like 6.
Wow.
Funny enough, when I meet my wife, which is albeit Instagram, again, there's hope out there. Like there's chivalry's not dead. You can meet a person on social media. Don't worry. It's coming. But yeah, so when we met, the very first conversation we ever had was 6 hours long.
Wow.
It was 10 o'clock in Chicago. We talked till 4 a.m. my time.
Wow.
She was in LA and we talked about everything.
Okay, let's rewind. So who slid into whose DM?
Yeah.
This is the meeting of the sexes on Instagram, guys.
Sure.
How did it happen?
Funny enough, we had no mutual friends. So I had been following this guy who ended up being her best girlfriend's husband. Okay. I didn't know him at all. Yeah. Never met him before. He had a cool page. I started following him. And he posted a group picture on Easter 2017. And I was like, who's that? You know, I zoom in. Yeah. I click her page. You know what I'm saying? That. Men do that too, by the way. We zoom in. And I remember I was like, okay, she's private. Let me request her. And I had a busy day that day. So it was early in the morning and I had forgotten about her. And actually, I guess it was like a couple of days that went by because I got a DM from her. So she's technically sitting in my DM. She kill me.
Shay. Shout out Shay. I'm with that.
Hey, you got to shoot your shot.
Hell yeah.
You got to shoot your shot.
And look, a female that knows what she wants, I'm with it all the time. Why not?
And it was classy. She did like the hands up emoji. Yeah. I had a quote that I put up and she was feeling the quote. And I was like, who is that? I'm like, oh yeah, it's the girl that I requested. I had one of my boys in town with his daughters. We had a daddy-daughter weekend. So I was, host JD. I was busy. And in the morning, I remember it was a Friday, like 10 a.m. I was like, let's just move this to text. It's like, I hate DMing.
DMing, yeah.
So I sent her a text. 10 a.m. Chicago time. We have the whole day. Tour guide JD, we're out in Chicago doing our thing. It's now 10 p.m. that same night. And my boy was like, whatever happened to that girl? Like, I thought you... And I was like, oh, yeah. I thought we had a good thing going. Like, where's she at? And come to find out, I text the wrong number.
Shut up.
I text... So 12 hours, the whole day goes by. And I'm like, damn, that's weird. Like,
she hit you back.
Either she's playing hard to get or she just, like, pump faked me, And so I was like... He goes, check the number. And I had the wrong one. I went back to the DM. I got the right one. And I screenshot the original message I sent at 10 a.m. Like, yo, I had attempted this. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is already getting off to like a weird start.
No, but I appreciate that because you owned your shit. Like, you fucked up, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't want her to feel the type of way.
I totally messed up. And so I was like, look, I here you go. This is the original. And I was like, I'm just going to call her. Yeah. This is already off to a weird start. And I didn't warn her. I just was like,
you just
picked up the phone, 10 p.m. my time. So 8 p.m. in LA, called her Friday night. She
How many
answered.
years ago was this?
This is 2017.
2017,
3 years ago. So she answers, and some like, I don't even remember how she, but she's probably trying to play it cool.
We're going to have Shay on. We're going to find out.
Because I've actually never asked her that. So she answers and I was like, look, I'm really sorry. Sorry getting off to like a weird start. I want to come correct. Yeah. I want to talk to you. I'm old school, 90s baby, whatever. Growing up in the 90s, whatever it means. But I just want to hear your voice too, and we talked for,
is that?
come on now.
How sweet.
So we talked for 6 hours.
Wow.
And when I say we talked about everything, I was like, how you feel about marriage? Do you want to get married one day? Okay, cool.
Off jump, first day.
You want kids? Okay, cool.
Hold on. Now, how old are you at this time?
30.
Okay, so you're 30 years. Damn, Justin.
I was 30 and 2 months in. So I was like fresh 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've always dated with the intention of marriage. Obviously not at 18, 19, whatever, but like
in your adult life.
But like even like 21, 22, because again, whether it was where I'm from, how I was raised, what I was craving and missing, and we can talk about filling voids with people later.
Yeah, we can.
But I just always had that narrative,
yeah.
And I also kind of equated success equaled like marriage, full-time job, homeowner.
Wow.
That's definitely a Midwest thing.
Yes.
If you don't have all three of those, you're not successful.
Isn't that interesting how we put these?
Yeah. And it definitely freaked me out because I wasn't married. I had a child out of wedlock. I have a odd job as a model. Wow. It's not the traditional typical job. and I wasn't a homeowner. So I'm like, am I a failure? But I'm happy in my life. And all my peers think I'm successful. And I kind of think I am too. So that's when I found out success is subjective.
Yes.
But anyways.
100% everybody listening right now, success is subjective to everyone listening.
Yeah.
What success means to me is completely different to what it means to you.
Right. And that's okay.
Yes.
That's totally okay.
It's 100% okay.
People need to know that.
Yes, it is normal.
Yeah.
The success isn't what we see on this mass media or Instagram. It's not.
Right.
It's not. Don't be fooled, guys. And it's okay to have your own ideals of success. And it's okay to shed old ideas that you used to think was success, and it's no longer what you want as success as an adult or wherever you are right now.
Yeah, because you should be growing and evolving.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, success at 18 years old to you at 18 is totally different than 33.
100%. You know, to be honest, success to me now is happiness, like internal happiness.
Right.
Yes,
right.
like back in the day, it was like I want this car and I want this and I want to I want to book this job and I want to. And I'm like, now it's changed. It's
totally changed.
Yeah.
Let's go there because it's totally changed. I'm talking about my wife later, but it's all good. We're married. You know, I love her. Happily ever after. But you know, success, that was again really interesting to me because in Chicago modeling, I have a lot of agencies all over the place, and so I'm blessed to do this full time, which apparently is rare.
It is very rare,
especially for guys.
Hell yeah.
I just kind of felt like something was missing. You know, I was like, I got a really nice car. I had a dope apartment with the view. It was like a postcard view of Chicago. 3-bedroom place, fireplace. I'm chilling. And something was missing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so funny. You know, they keep saying money doesn't buy happiness. And here I was, you know, at that time, the most successful I had ever been. And I wasn't really that happy. And then when I met Shay, I kind of thought that was my missing piece to the puzzle.
Yeah.
And fast forward 3 years later, we are couple months, like 6-7 months into our marriage.
Yeah.
And I get that feeling again. Like something's missing. And now I'm like, damn, man, come on, man. Like you got the wife. You still got a nice car. You still got a nice place in Chicago. Like why are you still feeling this way?
Yeah.
So I have a conversation with my therapist.
Yo, can we shout out our therapist real quick?
Please.
Therapy. If you guys haven't heard on every episode, please listen to the previous episode and the previous episode.
Yeah.
Therapy.
Therapy for the win. And I've been in therapy since I was like 16. It was like a remember they used student counselors in high school, you know?
Hell yes.
And he I stuck with him. He's kind of like a father.
Awesome.
Yeah, father figure to me.
That's special. That's a gift, Justin.
Oh man, I'm so
that's
blessed.
Such a gift.
Oh man, God knows where I'd be without him. And then I also got another therapist in LA when I moved. And so I have this therapist. I called him the Michael Jordan of therapy.
I like that.
This guy has a way of not necessarily giving you the answers to the test, to your own test, but letting you talk it out to figure out your own answers, because that's going to be the most genuine way you're going to receive it, and then more importantly, apply it.
Right.
It's one thing to hear it. It's another thing to actually apply it. And so he had these gems he was throwing at me, and like, have you ever thought about this and that? I'm like, damn. So he hits me with this one gem. And this is actually on our episode, so I'll duplicate it, but it's all good. And I told him, you know, what I was going through. I said, I'm married now. I got a nice place, car, everything's cool. You know, I'm financially secure and stable. I'm missing something. He's like, cool. Well, what is it going to take to make you happy? What does that look like for you? What does happiness look like to you? And I'm like, oh, well, well, good. Okay, hold on. And I was like struggling. Yeah. I was really like, I don't know. And he said, well, guess what? Until you figure that out, you'll never feel complete.
Wow.
You can't have your wife try to complete you. That's not her responsibility. That's not her job. You can't have your friends fill that void. You can't have money fill that void. You can't have a car or any other materialistic thing fill that void. Only you can complete you. He tells me this, and I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, oh, man. The first thing I thought of was, I was like, I need to apologize to my wife, you know, because she used to tell me, you know, I feel like I'm not enough for you. I feel like I'm not, you know, good enough for you. And I'm like, no, you are. Like, you know, you're doing things I ask you to do. And she's like, yeah, but then you come back with something else that I'm not doing. And my therapist goes, because you're not happy, anything you were to ask of Shay, it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to last. So long story short, only you can complete you when it comes to, if anyone's out there just feeling like, especially during COVID, come on now. First of all, don't be too hard on yourself. I'm gonna take my own advice, because as we talked earlier, like, I had a moment yesterday getting ready to launch this thing, and I had an emotional breakdown, feeling like the imposter syndrome and like all this stuff. But I have to take my own advice, which is, you can't be that hard on yourself.
You can't.
And also, you don't know unless you try. And whether that's you getting into a relationship, you starting a new business venture, you moving, whatever it is, you don't know unless you try.
You don't. And what is the worst that could happen?
Yeah. And what's crazy is, like, we all know that. We're not curing cancer here. No, like, that's like a common sense layup thing. But it's like, for some reason, because the mind is a powerful thing we get in our heads.
It's our ego.
And it's the men, yes, the ego for sure.
Women too. Don't get it twisted.
Okay.
Justin, my ego used to be wild.
I'm here to learn.
I mean, I've worked on my ego, but women have ego too. We're human beings.
Yeah.
I know the male ego is a different monster, but women have ego. I definitely had an ego.
Yeah. Is that the athlete in you think?
100%.
Or okay.
100%. But I also think it's just human life. I think it's a human mind. I think it's the human mind wanting to be great, seeing everybody else have all the things, and then the ego starts to kick in. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? That's the insidious side of your ego, right? Because now it's like bringing you to this misery and the madness, instead of like the ego where it's more pompous and like narcissistic. There's two different sides of your ego. Totally. I studied the ego after this last kind of like depression I dealt with, and I was just really, really, really humbled by killing the ego. Yeah. Ego death it's hard. But I think once you can control your mind and you can talk to that ego, that other person in your head that be telling you, yo, Justin, why are you doing this? Why, like, all that questioning, all that overthinking.
Yeah. But see, it also, I've realized this too with all the work I have and continue to do. Same. Because your boy's definitely in Work On Me University still.
Yep. Hey, sign up.
That's like a lifetime enrollment type
Everyone
of thing.
needs to sign up for that class.
But the one thing I realize more than ever is it to me personally, I just feel like it comes down to self-awareness. 100%. If you're not self-aware, you need to check your ego. Yeah. If you're not self-aware, you need to check your emotions.
Yes.
If you're not self-aware that you keep making the same mistakes over and over and over, you only have one person to blame.
Literally one person to blame.
So when I figured out the self-awareness tip, it made so many things make sense.
Yeah.
And especially in like the relationship world, and not just with my wife, but my friends, with my daughter.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that I like assumed she either knew or she didn't know. Kids, man, like my daughter's 12, she'll be 13 coming up. I mean, you met her.
Yeah, she's
like
beautiful.
That age is like, it doesn't even do her justice, because she's like 30.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like
she's a special one.
It blows my mind.
She's special.
But yeah, the more I was aware of, what kind of father I wanted to be in relation to what type of father I was actually showing and giving to her, what type of husband I knew I wanted to be, and what type of husband I was actually giving to my wife, friend, son, uncle, so on and so forth. But yeah, self-awareness, man, is, if anyone's like, where do I start on this whole journey of becoming the best version of yourself? 100% self-awareness, and be honest when you're self-aware.
Yes.
And what I found, especially with men, we're lazy. It is what it is. We are lazy. and I'm sure most of your audience is women, so you're welcome. Yep. Men are lazy.
You heard that, ladies. You heard it here first.
Come on now. I'm just going to tell the truth. Like men are lazy. And the other piece of it is the ego. Yeah. So not only are we lazy and we have a big ego, therefore the work never gets done.
Right.
But someone told me recently, when the work works...
No, I know who says this.
You know what I'm saying? When the work works...
It's so true.
It's like when you go to the gym and you're trying to lose this holiday weight or now COVID weight, right? You're trying to shed some pounds. When you start to see results, oh man, I'm looking good. These jeans now fit finally, and this shirt's hugging tight. Okay, cool. That's the work working, and you become addicted to that.
100%.
The problem what happens when you're working on yourself is it takes a lot longer than a couple weeks in the gym.
Hell, it's forever work.
And just to see the work working, it could take a couple years depending on your starting point.
Totally.
And because of that, that's why I go back to men are lazy. People are lazy, but definitely men. And if there's a guy watching this, bro, let's keep it 100. Because I'm speaking from personal experience.
Yeah.
And the other reason, that men struggle, I think, with the self-awareness tip and that self-work is because we don't think it's not us, it's you. And when I say you, I mean women.
Yes.
It's not me, it's her.
Women do the same thing. I have homegirls right now that are posting about all the men don't do this, men do that. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, but baby girl,
you're not perfect
either.
That either. Yeah.
You don't do that. So why are you expecting this man to do these things when you don't even do that for self? So I'm gonna
cool
parallel this with you. Men and women, like,
cool.
Y'all might be a little more off,
yeah, I know,
but like we be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But what I've realized in quarantine, and I had to be careful when I was talking to my friends about this, because I realized that I was talking to the people that are actually going through it.
Yeah.
Quarantine, I think, did a lot of things for people, but the one thing it really made people do is take a hard look in the mirror with no distractions.
That's the key.
You're not driving to work and then you're in the office or hanging on the weekends for happy hour or living for the weekend. You're not really traveling.
You're not partying.
There's no distractions.
Yeah.
The only distraction you had was social media, right? But you can't live on that thing all day. So a lot of the distractions were taken off the plate. And what happens is, again, this is personal experience. When you take a lot of the distractions away and you have only one thing to look at, which is yourself, that's a very hard thing to do. It's take hard. That hard look in the mirror, and I call it an inventory check.
Yeah.
Like, what am I missing?
Yeah.
What do I have? What am I low on? Right? And let's balance it out. And I just find that a lot of people couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And these are my friends, you know, and again, also, like I said, just reflecting back to me, when I had some downtime with work, when I wasn't traveling, I knew like something was off, but I'm like, I'm good. And let me throw this distraction in front of it. Or worst case scenario, let me throw this girl in front of it, because I would try to.
Ooh, I felt that.
I would try to, fill voids with people. I would try to distract myself from what I needed to work on with people.
Yeah.
So again, that hard look in the mirror is something that I have found difficult. Luckily, I'm doing it. I'm okay and comfortable and honest about it. But I think a lot of men and women, are really struggling with that. But newsflash, because a lot of people are like, man, JD, you look like you have this great life and you're happily married and you got a beautiful little girl. And yes to all those things. But don't think it doesn't rain in my household. Don't think there's not bad days, because there is. And a lot of the things the highlight reel, we'll call it on social media that you see
100%.
is coming from all the work that I and my wife have done individually and then collectively with marital therapy, because that's also a gem in itself. It comes with work. Nothing comes easy. And I think a lot of people we don't have patience anymore.
We don't.
Again, the distraction tip. And then also, like, again, if it takes too long to see results, you're like, I give up. And then you start to tell yourself, you believe your own lie, which is just like, I'm good. It's not me, or she was crazy, or he was tripping. He wasn't ready to settle down anyway. It's like, maybe he was just not with you.
Yeah. Period.
I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
It's true.
I mean, shit,
It's facts.
So let's keep, again, it's just keeping it real. So yeah, that's just, and I'm only, again, this is only from personal experiences. I do not know it all. I just know it works for me.
But this is the beauty of you, Justin, because this is why Who Can Relate is coming to life. This is why you're birthing this project, because you can relate to so many people. Yeah. We all can relate in somehow.
Totally.
We're never alone. I want everybody listening right now and watching this to understand that you are not alone. Like, sometimes when we're in it and we're in the dirt and we're sinking, we feel like we're alone. Yeah. Baby. Put on a podcast, put on Who Can Relate, so you can understand that you're not alone.
That's exactly why I created it.
Yeah.
And there's an About Me you guys can watch now. It's up there because, you have a great platform and a lot of people know who you are and stuff. And I feel like for me, they don't really know. And if they do know me, they know me as a model and then obviously a father, because I've been one for 12 years. And then now they know me as a husband. But I felt like I need to explain to people not only a little bit of a backstory and more context as to who I am, but how I got to where I am today. And so, I talk about that because growing up, I always felt like I was alone, whether it was growing up mixed, being raised by, a white mom.
That's a whole other episode.
It's a whole other episode,
Yeah.
But with a white mom, I felt like she couldn't relate to what I was going through. whether it was growing up an only child, I felt like I had no one to talk to. And even if I did, I felt like they couldn't relate to what I was going through. So I had all these like thoughts and these feelings, and I would suppress them.
Wow.
And then they would show up in bad relationships, again, with women and friends, and even family members for that matter. If my mom and sister ever see this, I'm sorry. You guys know, I'm sure it's been difficult, but yeah. So when I thought about like, I can't be the only one, like again, and that's why I say everyone is going through something, but no one wants to talk about it until you hear someone else talking about it first. If someone's listening to this podcast, they're gonna be like, me too, I'm going, oh man, I can relate.
It's the best feeling.
Hence the name, Who Can Relate? Because I'm like, I can't be the only one going through this. And I also just wanted to make it very clear. People, who are watching this or see our social medias, they're like, oh wow, he's handsome and she's beautiful. It's like, I yes, and we're blessed, but that doesn't mean our life is perfect.
Hell no.
And I'm actually like, this is like, it hits a nerve for me, man. Because I'm like,
let's talk about this, because I can talk about this.
I'm tired of the shit. Yeah. I'm tired of it. Like, people are like, what do you know? You're good looking. You have a beautiful wife. You have a beautiful daughter. It's like, yeah, I may have more opportunities in some way or shape or form in some realm of life, but that doesn't mean that I don't have my own shit that I'm going through or that I have my own disadvantages. Now, I'm not being insensitive. So if anyone watching this, keep watching it.
You're not being insensitive at all.
I'm just keeping it real. Like,
it's your experience.
Yeah.
It's true.
And that's why, like, I wanted to peel back the curtain with this show to let people know I am going through it as well. Like, I am still learning. I am by no means complete and like wanting to be. I don't want to be. I am an avid, obsessive learner.
Yes.
I read a book a month. Like, I'm trying to figure it all out.
People are judging by the cover of your book, which is this exterior, right?
Totally.
They're judging Justin, they're judging Letitia by what this looks like, our outside. And I think this is the problem with our world.
Right.
This exterior world versus our interior world. There's two different worlds, first and foremost. And if your interior world is not where it needs to be, I don't care how fine or beautiful you are. No. It does not matter. You could be literally dying inside like me. I was dying inside in March. Like, honestly, people also project onto you, Justin, I'm sure.
Totally.
Those insecure men who aren't attractive or aren't good looking or for whatever reason feel inferior or intimidated by your beauty. Yeah. That's their problem. It's not yours. Because you know what? Another thing, too, I believe. Who is one to say what's beautiful?
Right. It's back to that successful thing. That's subjective.
Right? It's all subjective because you're beautiful. Yeah. Like whoever listening right now, you're so fucking beautiful.
Yeah. In your own individual, unique way. And we need more like you.
Yes. Like, we want you to be you. We don't want you to change anything.
Man.
Like, you're so fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
And like, the only reason why you might not feel beautiful is because you allowed somebody else's projections and insecurity to affect you.
Right.
Or you're looking at the mass media or you're this mainstream photoshopped world and it's not real. No. It's really not real. You're so beautiful. Like, Justin, people judge beautiful things as kind of like, I like to think of it as a trophy. Like, you're a trophy. Like, nothing should be wrong with you. You're like the prize. Right. Do you understand that I cannot work with any man that tries to hit on me? Like, any man that I've ever worked with in my life, even now, always, my lawyers, partners, always,
coworkers,
they always have some intention. You know how fucking annoying that is?
Yeah, I don't know because I'm not that guy, but I can relate.
It's obnoxious, and I'm sure you can relate.
Totally, and I also want to add to, like, full disclosure.
Yeah.
Up until maybe like 6 years ago, I thought that my looks were enough. Full disclosure. I was like, I'm that dude. Yeah. And I feel that. There's no one else out there better. Yeah. Like, that was my conceited, narrow-minded, ego-driven self. And I realized the hard way that I got to bring more to the table than just my looks. And that's like, again, back to that whole, yes, we may have an advantage. Like, people may stop and look at, we may, attract attention easier than maybe the average person. Right. But that only gets you into the door.
That's it.
That's it. That is it. And so when I realized that, I'm like, oh man, like I got to work on my character. Has nothing to do with my looks. My integrity has nothing to do with my word. Has nothing to do with my looks. So everyone thinking like these quote unquote beautiful, because I say quote because it's subjective. Yes. These beautiful people have these perfect lives. Like, no,
they don't.
I promise you. No, it's like the whole situation when we see a celebrity and we're like, oh, they're rich, they must be happy. Yeah. And with all due respect, in the most sensitive way, there's a lot of celebrities who commit suicide.
Yes.
Their bank account has a ton of zeros.
Yes.
But they're not. So I like I said, the whole like beauty equals like a perfect life. Stop it right now.
Let me tell you, I lived that life. I've seen celebrities. I've lived in the celebrity world.
Yeah.
I've been around the most richest people in the world.
Yeah.
I've flown on private jets with the most richest people, and they were fucking miserable. Like, and I never understood it.
Right.
And when I used to watch this woman be so angry every day, and she had a beautiful house, beautiful kids, auctioning off beautiful art. That was her funness. Yeah. $million artwork. But she was not happy. Right. She was so angry, and money doesn't bring you happiness.
No. It helps.
Money does not equivocate.
It helps,
yes,
but it's not the end all.
It creates comfortability, and finance is important. Sure. But it does not equivalate to happiness.
No.
I've seen it firsthand.
No. And neither does beauty.
No.
Again.
It does not.
It doesn't, man.
The exterior world is so...
Yeah.
so small in correlation to your interior world.
Right.
And like, we can go back to what you said. You have to become self-aware to work on your inner self.
Yeah.
And I think as a man, as a Black man too, it's so powerful that you've done this work.
Yeah.
Because you're going to empower and help so many other men that haven't reached this point yet.
Yeah, it's interesting because I take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, you should.
Because, Drake says it best. Boo-hoo, sad story, Black American dad story. That's how I grew up. My dad wasn't around again. And I was angry at him. And I had a lot of resentment when I was younger and even into like my early 20s.
Yeah.
And I forgot who kind of, turned the light on in my head about this different perspective of my dad. But they were like, look, you only get one. Oh, actually, it was my oldest brother. And he said, you only get one. And our pops is literally who the Temptations were singing about. Like, he was a Rolling Stone. Wow. I mean, like, legit.
Yeah.
Crazy. He was that guy.
Yeah.
And so he's like, but you only get one. And then he started telling me about how my dad was raised and what he lacked and what his father lacked. And it's a lineage thing.
Hell yes.
Okay. So when I got hit with that, I'm like, oh, shit. Well, I'm a father.
Yeah.
Am I going to? Yep. If I don't do the work, am I going to pass this down to my daughter and then future kids?
Are you going to repeat that pattern?
Yes. Because it only gets, I know you like this one.
Let me hear it.
You repeat what you don't repair.
It's facts.
And so I'm like, I'll be damned if I repeat this.
That's powerful.
So I took that lesson from my oldest brother. And the way I applied it was, okay, I only get one dad. You're right. But how can I learn from this only one dad? How can I learn from this only one mom?
Right.
Because they don't really teach. They don't really give advice, right? That's just not in their nature. So what I did was I flipped it and I was like, okay, I'm going to learn from their mistakes. As I tell my daughter, and I'm always honest with her, Mama, I barely know what I'm doing as a father. Full disclosure. I'm not really sure how this goes. Okay. Yeah. I was 21, but I never left you. I'll never leave you. I'm trying to figure it out. Bear with me here. I'm worth the wait kind of thing. I said, but I definitely know how not to be a father because that's what I was shown.
There's so much
that's
power
what I was
in that
given.
Statement. Yes.
And that translates to everything in life. I believe it's Maya Angelou who says, sometimes you can't change your circumstances. Yeah. But you can change how you respond to your circumstances. I can't change my dad. I can change my mom. Those two people should not have had a child. Here I am. I always tell them I'm the best mistake you ever made. Okay. Because I also have a share with my mom on it. But with that being said, I was like, but I can change how I respond. Yes. I can take my dad's flaws and his bad qualities and learn not to do that. Yes. Same thing with my mom. Yes. And so that way I'm repairing the parent in me, in my lineage, to my daughter and to my future kids. Yes. And that's back to self-awareness though. because I could have easily used that. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom smoked cigarettes. She doesn't now, but she did. I could have easily been like a drinker and a smoker. Yeah. My dad didn't give a shit about women. I could have been that guy, and everyone would have been like, of course he is, because look at his parents. It's not his fault.
Right.
But I'm like, the hell with that.
Wow.
I'm dope.
Period.
and I'm gonna work on my dopeness, because the better I am, the better everyone else around me benefits.
And that's how you take your power back.
Yeah.
And you took your power back.
I took it back. Because it was like, it was in front of me, and I knew that I always knew I had this potential, you know, and I was like, how do I obtain this?
Yes.
And I was like, I can't go to my dad. I can't go. But I was like, oh, wait, but I guess I can go through the back door and figure out how they came in, and
figure it out.
Right. So, and that, again, that's like, first of all, it's a lot of maturity, because when I was younger, I didn't have that mindset. As I got older and matured, I did. But I was obsessed with the work. I was obsessed with like learning.
I feel that.
And I'm like, look, yeah, you only get one dad, you only get one mom, but you only get one lifetime. So they say. There's a whole nother conversation with, you know, where our souls go and stuff. But I'm like, damn, control what's in your control. Yes. I'm here
right now.
I want to be a husband. Yes. I want to be the best father I can be. I want to be the best at anything that I do. And I know I got to work at it, because it does. You can't rely just solely on talent.
No.
You can't rely solely on looks.
You can't.
You
and
got
it's
to do
work. Do y'all understand? Like, this is work. And I think
it's a lot of work.
That's why a lot of love fails nowadays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why there's a lot of absent fathers. That's why there's a lot of absent mothers, a lot of divorce, because love is work.
Love is work.
And you have to choose love. Love is a choice.
Yes.
You know, it's such a choice. And I'm reading the book All About Love by Bell Hooks, and she talks on this. And that's why this idea of love is lacking in America right now.
Because the lack of work.
Yes, the lack of work. You know, but then it's also our society. Like, you have to work like your 9-to-5 jobs every single day just to pay your rent or your mortgage. By the time you get home, who wants to do more work?
And guess what?
Sad.
The at-home work is the hardest work.
Yes, the at-home work takes more energy.
Because you could leave work.
Imagine if we could flip it.
Yeah.
Imagine if work allowed you to like focus on self.
Yeah.
Where you could have that energy to bring home and create this loving space.
Yeah.
Work was loving.
Sure.
Home was loving.
Sure. How much better would we all be? But
I'm
going to take it one step further. Imagine if they taught us that in school.
Yo, why don't they?
As a child, before you become an adult.
Why don't they do that?
I don't know anything from my 4th grade science class.
Me neither.
But I bet you damn well that if I learned how to self-love, that shit would stick with me to
Could
this day.
you imagine that shit?
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I love the quote.
Wild.
I love the quote. Self-love isn't selfish. It's important.
It's necessary.
It's necessary.
It's vital.
And
it's essential.
And if people like don't realize that, I promise you are doing more damage than good. Because again, as I said earlier, the more you can love first of all, if you can't love yourself, you can't love anyone else.
I hope everybody hears that. Like, everybody listen to this.
That's so much of it.
It's true.
If you don't know what works for you, and more importantly, what doesn't work for you, how is your partner gonna know? And that leads me to Mr. Gary Chapman.
I love it. Oh, we can talk about this.
The love language doctor, we'll call him. Okay.
The 5 Love Languages, guys, is a book.
Talk about it.
I want you to dive in because I love hearing it from a male perspective.
Yes.
I think love from a male in y'all's perspective is very powerful for my audience to hear.
No problem. So the 5 love languages I would recommend to anyone, whether you're single or actually, especially if you're single. Yeah. And I'll explain why. So the 5 love languages are, number 1, in no particular order. Number 1 is touch, aka affection. Yeah. Number 2 is quality time. Number 3 is words of affirmation. Number 4 is acts of service. And number 5 is gifts. Now, the way I was raised was through gifts. My mom's number 1 love language is, this is important to make it clear. How you give and how you receive love can be different. Most of the time, it's the same. Right. Okay. So you know how to love yourself, or at least you should. And then therefore, you think everyone should be loved this way. My mom loved me with gifts, and she thought everyone loves that because she loves gifts. Okay. You want to get in with my mom? Buy her anything. That's it. You could be.
That's her love
You could
language.
be the craziest person on earth.
Yeah.
Buy her some perfume. She'll love you till you kill someone because you're crazy. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I was raised. And so in these relationships at an early on age, when they weren't loving me with gifts, I'm like, they don't love me.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I would love them.
Yeah.
And I remember I had an ex one time that was like, I don't need this stuff. Like, I just want you to sit down and let's watch a movie together. And I was like, that's it? I was shocked. I'm like, but these shoes and this jewelry and these flowers, and they were like, it's cool, but like, what else? And I was like, oh man. So when I got this book, which is the 5 Love Languages, which is, I don't know, maybe 2016, 15, 16. So, 4 or 5 years ago, I was 28, 29. And it really rocked my world because it made sense from childhood again with my mom and how she loved me.
Yes.
And then how she wants and feels like she should receive love now. And then it definitely made sense of myself in relationships. Yeah. I will say this, not to confuse people, but this is an important context. Your love languages can change always depending on the person that you're with. So for example, my wife changed my love languages. My number 1 in that order was gifts. My number 5 now, the bottom of the list is gifts. Now it's words of affirmation. I love to be given support, encouragement. You got this, you can do it, keep going, so on and so forth. That's where I thrive in. But that's also what I give. And her number 1 love language is touch, affection. Now, childhood is everything. We talked about this on my episode. I was never given love and affection as a child. I have to turn a light switch on in my head to hold Jan. Wow. That's how far, and that's like the number 1 thing I'm working on right now. Not only for my wife, but my little girl. Yeah. And so I want people to know, if you don't know your love languages, and if your partner doesn't either, it's never going to be sustainable. It's never going to last, right? The more you can give your partner the answers to your test, here you go, you're welcome. And then vice versa, watch how beautiful your relationship, your marriage is. And again, even if you're single, like that's why I said it's probably best when you're single, because that's the best time to work on yourself. Because when Mr. Right, AKA when opportunity comes knocking, you better be ready. Yeah. Yeah, I heard that. Better be ready. Yeah, listening. You can't keep missing these opportunities, because at what point is it shame on you? AKA, if you're saying this to you, shame on me if you're saying that about yourself. So do the work while you're single with no distraction. Because I also believe this, that when you're in a relationship, you kind of have to, it's like a 50-50 thing. I only can own 50% of myself because I'm going to give you 100% all the time. But my point is like, I still can't have a full selfish 100% version of myself because I'm married. Right. It's not fair to my wife and vice versa. So when you're single, it is 100,000% all you. Figure out everything. Yes. Do that inventory check, because when Mr. Opportunity comes knocking, you're, instead of going to be nervous, you're going to be happy. You're going to be smiling like, I've been waiting for you. Yeah.
I'm there in my life.
Welcome.
I'm literally there. Yeah. And it all comes back to self-awareness. What you just said is self-awareness. Yep. As a woman, you have to know self first before you can even let any other man in. No. And I was at fault. I didn't do the work, and I was attracting these toxic men. Yeah. I was losing myself in relationships over and over until this last breakup when I hit Justin. I was like, yo, this dude, bro. Yeah. And I'm thankful for that. Yeah. Relationship though, because he shifted me, and like I dove into the work hardcore. Yeah. And now I'm flourishing, and I know what I want, and I can see it, I can feel it, and I can be it, and I'm attracting exactly what I want. And I'm still learning, I'm still evolving. And one thing I was actually talking about with this guy that I'm talking to now is about, we were talking about love languages yesterday. Okay. And he was like, I think I kind of have all the love languages. And I was like, I think I do too.
We all do. They just rank differently.
Yeah, totally. But I think it's such a beautiful thing. Once you know yourself, you're so aware of all the things that you do like. And ranks 100%. But once you find a partner that's on your level of alignment, I'm like, oh shit, he like can fill up every piece of this love tank. He literally hits almost every piece. Yeah. And I can do the same for him. So like you said earlier on the podcast, when you're full and you take care of self, you can take care of everyone else around you. You can give more. You can receive more. Yeah. Like it all starts with self.
And to break it down in more layman's terms, would you start your road trip across country on an empty gas tank?
No, bro, you can't.
How do you think you could start a relationship on an empty love tank? Like, it doesn't.
There's so many of us. I've done that shit.
It doesn't.
I've done it.
And I say this like it's so simple because I was the person who was like, it was rocket science back then. I'm like, I don't know how, or what are you talking about? Or you're crazy. It's not me, it's you. And so, you know, failure after failure, I realized that it came to a point where I was the common denominator.
You looked at self and it was you.
I looked at self in the mirror and I was like, okay, man, are you going to be the man you want your daughter to marry one day? Time to go to work. You know, and it's the best work you can do. Yes. I don't want people to be discouraged. It is a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
It's a lot of grieving too in the process.
It's a lot of grieving.
A lot of grieving.
It's a lot of awareness.
Yep.
It's a lot
crying.
of
I cry a lot.
Emotion.
Yes.
And it's also a lot of very uncomfortable conversations. And mainly with like your parents.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because that childhood thing is like no joke.
It's
because
real.
Again, my love language were essentially like I was conditioned to them based on how my mom raised me. So I had to figure out why she had those, where that comes from.
Right.
I had to figure out why they didn't work for me or in that order. And then I had to process and channel like what works for me today. And then also learn my partners. So it's a lot of work.
It's not easy.
But guess what? This equates to happiness.
And you can do it.
You can do this. If I can do this, God help. Like I said, my mom and my sister, bless your heart, man. Both of you guys. Like, if I can do this, I 100% guarantee you can do this shit.
I'll second that.
Trust me.
I'll second that.
Trust me. So, but you know, again, it's like, a lot of people, if you're not aware that you need to do the work, they're like, man, they're crazy. I'm good. And like, okay. And maybe you are.
You know what I always say to people like that? Well, I don't actually say anything. I just say, okay. Because I don't want to project onto them.
Right. Sure.
And I accept them to where they are in their life.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, oh, I can't wait till they start this journey.
Yeah.
Like, you know what's going to happen.
Totally.
More than likely, it's going to happen when they hit rock bottom or something. Or they lose something, or they have a loss, or they heartbreak, or they lose a job, or they go broke. Something's going to shift in a person's life that's going to make them uncover.
I'm raising my hand. If you guys are listening and not watching, I'm currently raising my hand because that was me.
Yeah, me too.
And
mine was heartbreak. What was yours? I was depressed too. I kind of hit rock bottom, but
mine was just I wasn't receiving what I thought I deserved. You know, like I was very clear on what I wanted, and I wasn't getting it. I'm like, what's the problem?
Confused.
And I kept trying to take these shortcuts. Yeah, I didn't want to go the long way.
Can't take shortcuts, man. And
I also think I kind of have this theory, and I wonder if it's true. And if anyone watching or listening, feel free to comment or write in the reviews. I personally think that men only change for two reasons.
Let me hear this.
One of two reasons: money and women.
Really?
I personally think men only get their shit together for money or for a woman.
What about self?
I don't think men do it.
Wow. That's interesting.
I mean, personally.
This is so interesting.
Yeah, and I may get killed by all these guys out here. I mean, but again, I'm speaking from personal experience. So my quote unquote rock bottom was when I had failed relationship after failed relationship, when I kept being told the same negative things from my exes, you know, and the girls that I would date. And I'm like, damn, like, what the hell? And not that I changed necessarily for like that particular woman time after time, right? As a collective whole, knowing what I wanted to attract in my future wife, this is before I was married, I was like, I need to get my shit together.
Yes. Because
the wife and the marriage that I want, which by the way is something I've never seen before in person, because I was never.
A lot of us haven't.
Majority of my family is not necessarily quote unquote happily married. Yeah. Okay.
Same.
So I never saw it. I saw it on TV. I saw it in movies or TV shows. So I was trying to create something I've never even seen before. But I was like, but I'm like, I know I can do it. And so that was the catalyst. That was the spark for me. And I was like, I need to get my shit together for my future wife. Because again, that's why I said when in my case, Mrs. Opportunity came knocking, I was as ready as I was going to be, but I was very transparent with her. And I said, I'm still a work in progress. Like, just so you know, like I just on this new road, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm getting it together. You know, timing is everything.
Yeah.
Just bear with me, but I promise you I'm worth it. And so with that being said, like, I just personally believe that men change for money and they change for women, because let's take the money aspect of it. I think a lot of men equate success and becoming a man to financial gain.
Totally. I agree with that.
And that's sad, because you can provide financially for a woman, but if you can't provide for a woman emotionally or just accountability, what are we talking about?
Nothing.
What are we actually talking about right now? Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think men have, quote unquote, becoming a man backwards when it comes to, like, it equates to money. And yes, you need to, and in a way it does, right? But like, again, I can buy the house and I can buy the car and I can send our kids to private, whatever school. But if I'm checked out emotionally with you and there's no connection, are we going to be happily married?
No.
You know
and it's honestly because of this patriarchal system that this society has created this system to be for you men.
Yeah.
Like, you guys have no choice. You guys are literally forced to feel and to believe that you have to provide.
Sure.
You have to make all the money.
Sure.
This is what you guys see. This is what you guys were born and raised in. This is what your dads and their dads were thought. Like, y'all had to be the breadwinners. This is totally. You know, I don't like blaming gender. I like to really think about why. Like, I always like to peel, right? And we in America specifically, I can only talk about America because this is where we were born and raised. We're born in this patriarchal system, and this is the ideals that you men have had to live up to since you came out of your mother's womb. Like, honestly.
And that's why I question, like, so what happens with the stay-at-home dad?
Literally,
like, he's providing somewhat of a financial service by saving daycare and or a babysitter or a nanny. But it's like, he's not the breadwinner. No. So is that man not successful in his life and in his marriage or in his fatherhood?
I know 2 of them, and they're really happy.
You know what I'm saying?
They're beautiful men. Yeah. And they love their wives, and that family's beautiful.
Yeah. This whole idea is like out the window. But I want to talk to you. It's still going to be on subject, but it made me think of this when I said the breadwinner. Yeah. How many women, and this is a general question to you. How many women are out there who are very successful financially, and they're single, and they have a hard time dating because they keep attracting this man who is too insecure within himself to find his role in this super successful, I'm going to say HBIC. Yes. People don't know, head bitch in charge.
Tell them.
So if like, is that like a real, because I had this conversation at dinner the other day, and it was 2 really successful women, and they were single, and they're like, I can't find a man that's like knows his place with me, because they're like, I'm not going to make more than you. I don't know what to do now. And I'm like, wait, what?
It's intimidating.
I blew my mind.
It's so true. I dealt with that. And then with my situation, because I've dated a man of wealth too, that's also another thing that it's scary. These men feel like they have to live up to what I used to have. Sure. And then I have my own. I don't need a man, because I can take care of myself.
And that's hard for a lot of men to know where to fit in with that.
Yes.
In your life.
But the sad part is these men think that's all I need you for is finance. Right. Because that's all that they were taught all of their life. That's all they've seen.
Yep, to do.
But baby, I don't want that. I know. I got my own. And men don't know. Men that aren't conscious, men that aren't aware, men that haven't done the work. Right. Don't understand that there's so much more to a relationship. Like, I want a partner that has his own, because I want my own, and then we can build a fucking empire together, right? That B&J shit. Like, I'm low key, like, it's 2 individuals. This autonomy. I'm working on this right now. Okay. This autonomous idea where this idea of love is bell hooks. This is a bell hooks quote. It's 2 people that uplift and encourage spiritual growth and encourage autonomy. Like, I want you to be you and fucking fly and do
thrive
you.
At
yes.
That. Yeah.
And I'm going to go over here and do the same. Right. And then when we come home, like, we doing the shit together. Right. That actually makes sense to me.
That should be normal.
But we don't live in that world where we've seen that. Right. So these men that now see us as successful women, because thank God, I just want to say I'm so happy to be alive in this time, in this generation where women can make money. Yeah. When women can own shit and run shit. Never been easier. Yeah. No, like, and it's such a beautiful gift for us females right now. But men, y'all got to learn that it's okay. Like, don't you want a woman with her shit together?
Well, here's the thing that men really have to learn. It's a new day.
Yeah.
It's a new day.
Let's get up with the times, baby.
And that's back to what I was saying about, like, you know, I used to think my looks were everything. Yeah. I think a lot of men think their bank account is everything. Yes, and it's like, what happens when it's not?
Look, I left one of the biggest bank accounts.
You know what I'm saying?
Happily, too.
Like, what's your game? No pun intended. What's your game looking like then?
Real
when
talk.
We take money off the table? It's like, what else do you have to offer?
Nothing.
And so it blew my mind. And the other thing that these two women, beautiful, successful women, were telling me is that the last thing I want to do, I'm head bitch in charge at work. The last thing I'm trying to do is be HBIC at home.
Yes.
Come on, man. Like, and I was laughing as I'm laughing now, because I was like, what? And I was like, well, it's a different guy, you know, because I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm proud of you. Like, let's get it. I told Shay that, again, that first conversation, like, I want to build an empire together. And I also think too, like, what happens let's also give another scenario. What happens if you're dating someone? Let's say you're the man is making a little bit more, but then throughout your relationship, the woman gets promoted, and now she's making double what you're making. That's interesting, right? But here's the thing.
It's a shift.
It's still back to self-love. The man that these women are dating or lack thereof, because of their financial status, because the man doesn't know, he's just insecure.
Yes, that's all it is.
He's just insecure.
That's all it boils down to.
And guess what? He will never show you that he's hurt and he's insecure because of his ego. Yeah. So instead, he's going to flip it on you. Yeah. And he's going to blame you for some shit.
Been there.
He's going to blame you for some shit that you're like, wait, what? Word? That's how okay.
That's also called manipulation.
Yeah. And narcissism.
Yes.
You can't make sense out of crazy.
No.
If you're not crazy.
Dealt with that.
So I want, women to know, like, look, there's a lot of self-aware, self-confident men out there who can handle you. And guess what? In all your success.
Tell them,
all your success.
And honor it. And honor you and appreciate you.
Yes. And uplift you.
Yes.
Like, don't. Again, I hate to have these reactions, but I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And that's why I said I take a lot of pride, is like, not just a black man, but a man in general. Like, I take a lot of pride in, like, trying to help these dudes out here. And again, I'm not Dr. Phil. No. And I'm not Steve Harvey.
But you're just Davis.
But I'm the younger Dr. Phil. Yeah. And I'm probably the better looking Steve Harvey. So I'm just trying to help these dudes out, because I was there. Yeah. And I'm so in love with my life now. And I know it's because the work that I put in, and I'm finally, I have what I desired and what I felt like I deserved. And so like, women, there's hope out there. You just, we talked about this, that Alina Baraz quote. Oh, you're not asking the wrong things. You're just asking the wrong person.
That's the biggest, truest statement ever.
So don't be too hard on yourself. If you are a super successful HBIC and you're out here dating these insecure men who their egos are way too big for their own good, it's not you. It's not you. It's them.
Ladies, what do you feel about this? I think Justin's going to be on the podcast. Let's bring him on like once a month. What do you feel about this? Once a month?
Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit. We're going to call it Girl, he got us. Yeah. What are you with it? I'm
totally down, man. And like I said, like, I just want to help people. Yeah. Like, men especially, because I can relate to them one-on-one, and then women as well. I want to learn. Yeah. That's actually, like, hopefully I can bring some insight to women on the show. But like,
you will. You brought insight to me.
Yeah, but I want to learn. Yeah. I want to learn about women, because
that's so cool.
I have obviously my wife, but my daughter. Yeah. I understand that there are things I will never understand as a father to a daughter, but I'm here for it. Yes. I'm here to learn. I'm going to try to do my shit the best that I can.
That's why he got us.
You know what I'm saying?
That's how we're going to start this segment. We're going to maybe do it like a Thursday. I don't know what schedule, ladies, everybody listening, fellas, but we're going to do a segment, Girl, He Got Us, with Justin. And
I think what we should do too is, because you and I can talk all day, but again, I want to help people. So I feel like, and if you guys are watching this, I'll look at my camera. I want you guys to let us know what you want us to talk 100%. About. Like let us know from the male perspective, like if you have questions about anything, or whatever the situation is, because I I feel like I got some insights. I feel like I got a little something to give. And, so for whatever it's worth, but yeah, I want to know from them because I really think that there's a lot of things out there that are, needed.
Yes. 100%.
And maybe we don't know, you know, so maybe they can tell us.
There's so much more. I mean, we're always learning, and I'm always learning from women. This is why I have this platform.
Yeah.
So honestly, ladies and fellas listening, you can follow at girlwegotthis.co.co. Send us questions. Yeah. Send us whatever questions you want answered. And I'm going to ask Justin, and we're going to keep this as a monthly thing. And I'm excited about this. This is going to be fire.
I'm hyped, man.
This is going to be fun.
I'm hyped. I think, between you and I and what we've learned, all the self-work we've done, I was in a long distance relationship before my wife, and then my wife and I were long distance. I co-parent. There's a lot of things people can relate to. Yes. You're not alone.
Yes.
So yeah, but cause you're gonna wrap up?
No, I don't want to wrap up. I want to.
Oh, okay.
I need look, we're gonna have a part 2 to everybody listening to this, because we could go on. Justin and I could go on and on. I know we're about almost at an hour.
Yeah, no.
But I wanna. There's so many aspects of you that we can touch on. I want to talk about your beautiful daughter. I want to talk about your wife. I want to talk about you. I want to talk about this new creation.
Sure.
Who can relate, because it's out right now. Everybody needs to go over there. But I know all the women listening right now, they want to know about this 6-hour conversation that you had with Shay.
Okay.
Like, let's be 100. Like, everybody listening's like, okay, can we get back to the conversation?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Did you know Shay was your wife after that 6-hour conversation?
No is the short answer. But I can tell you when I knew, how I knew. Yes. And I can tell you exactly the reaction I had after we hung up.
Okay, tell us, because then there's going to be part 2.
Sure. So we talked for 6 hours on the phone and literally about everything. I was very forward. I was very direct. A lot of women think that that's a red flag. I look at it as just a man who knows what he wants. And
So what does forward and direct mean? Like, what were the questions you were asking?
I asked her, if she wanted to get married, if she wanted to have kids, if she would ever consider moving.
Makes sense.
At the time I was like, I don't see a way to leave my daughter. So you'd have to move to Chicago. Are you okay with my profession? Not that this is who I am, but it's what I do. And it won't be forever, but this has been a problem in my past relationships. I basically got it all out so that way there was no crazy surprises down the road from the very first conversation.
I love that.
And she was asking me things too. And she was, as intrigued and curious and down to value each other's time. Because that's what I told her. I'm like, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time either.
That's so beautiful.
So so we had this whole conversation. And when we hung up, I remember I had a thought that was like, don't mess this up, man. All the work that I had started to do, all the...
You're 30 now, right?
I'm 33 now, 30. So I was 30 at the time.
Yeah, 30 at the time.
All the nights I would manifest.
Yeah.
And I'd write in my gratitude journal and all these affirmations and these intentions that I'd put out there. I was like, this is her.
Yeah. This is her thing.
This is her, because it's such a real thing, because
so guys know that it's her.
Well, the self-aware men know that it's her. Ooh, because we know what she looks like, and we know what she embodies. And,
I've been manifesting this.
Totally. So I had that realization, like, yo, that opportunity, you hear the knock. Someone's at the door. Yeah. And she's about 5'3", Portuguese. You know what I'm saying? But
look at it right here on his shirt. Beautiful, sweet.
But yeah. So I was like, don't mess it up. And then moving forward, we had a impromptu trip, a spontaneous trip to Hawaii. 4 weeks, I think, into knowing each other. It was I've never done this before. It was very random, but it worked out. And I got like really crazy motion sickness. We did a helicopter ride with the doors off. And this is note to everyone out there who you're about to do a helicopter ride. And if the pilot comes to you and says, hey guys, it's a little windy up there. Not really sure if we should fly. I'm down. But just letting you know, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Now, in my situation, we are newly together. We're 4 weeks in. Yeah. As the man in the relationship, I'm like, I'm looking at her like, please say no. And she's like, no problem. She's an adrenaline junkie, loves that shit. And I'm like, okay, man, let's go. Yeah. So anyways, I got super sick. Vertigo was terrible. Jeez. Felt like my head was on the couch and my body was on the floor. And the way she took care of me. And when I say take care of me, growing up, I had a really hard time trusting people. Anyone that got close to me or I allowed to get close to me left me, including my own parents.
Fear of abandonment.
A fear of abandonment.
A lot of us have that. I have that too.
Yeah. And so knowing that this was her, this was Mrs. Opportunity, I knew how important, fragile, precious, all the above, the words.
I just got chills. Keep going.
Yeah. I knew what I had in front of me.
Yeah.
And then the childhood boy came out in my mind and was like, be careful, she'll leave you. Don't get too attached. Prepare for the day where she decides not to be with you or you decide. And it freaked me out. And because I was fighting this, and I was like, no, but this is her. And then, so it's like the devil and the angel on my shoulder type of thing. And so the way she took care of me, for the first time in a very long time, if not ever, I realized that I could trust someone because I had no control. I was so messed up off this helicopter ride. I remember I was in the car that we rented. And I remember I was so sick that for the first time in my adult ass life, I was like, I need to call my mom because I'm like messed up. And, I'm in Hawaii. My mom's in Chicago. She can't help me now. And so here it's here it's Shay.
Yeah. This inner child's coming out.
This inner child.
Yes.
And the way, like I said, my wife took care of me.
Yeah.
I knew I loved her. I knew she was the one. I knew, damn, this is deep. Okay, we gotta get it together. Oh man,
I love this love.
Yeah,
this is love, man.
Yeah, but I'll probably get too emotional.
Yeah, it's okay.
But again, it's just the way she took care of me is how, and the way I knew I could trust her with everything I had.
Yeah.
Because and you taught me this. When we were talking after your last breakup, and you were saying how you were under construction at the early stages of that relationship. And not everyone is, again, you taught me this, not everyone can hold space for you while you're under construction. I was under construction when I met Shay. And I remember thinking, like, this is the right girl, but I don't know if it's the right time.
Timing.
It's one thing to have chemistry with somebody.
Yes.
It's another thing to have the right timing.
Yeah.
And timing is everything.
Everything.
And so here I am with Mrs. Wright. This is her, future Mrs. Davis. And I was like, I just don't know if it's the right time. But again, the way I knew I could trust her, it was it.
Wow.
But that's what I mean by that's because I knew what I wanted.
Yes.
That's because I was so self-aware and self-conscious that I knew it was her.
Yeah.
Because, her and I, we talk about this a lot. If we were to meet early on in our lives, like say 5-7 years ago, and I'm like, listen, I can't speak on behalf of you. I'm going to tell you right now, 25-year-old Justin, you ain't about that life because I was not the husband 100%. You see today, so timing is everything.
It is.
And also you touched on something earlier and I wanted to piggyback off it. A lot of times when you have a really bad relationship, it's easy to look at that as a loss. It's easy to blame that other person. The last relationship I had before my wife was by far the worst relationship I've ever been in. And early on in my relationship with my wife, I used to always kind of talk bad about my ex, and my wife would be like, you can't talk bad about her. At one point you really liked her and you were really infatuated with her and, you
in
thought
every bad relationship, there is good. That's why you're with that person.
Exactly.
Period.
And we were together for a year and a half. So
there's time.
There were times where it must have been good.
Hella good. Yes.
And so I remember my wife was telling me this and then in therapy a lot, I was trying to work it out. And I realized that I could take, same thing with my dad. I could take so many of the negative that was in that relationship and learn from it.
Yes, it's a lesson.
And that really changed everything for me.
Yes.
Another thing that really helped me too, because I and my ex would hate to hear this, but this is true.
Yeah.
Ladies, you'll like this. My ex was grooming me to be a groom. Bless her heart. Bless her heart. She was grooming me to be a groom. Wow. If it weren't for her, I probably wouldn't be the husband that I am today.
Wow.
Because it was so hard, man. That relationship was tough. It was toxic. It was ugly. I had different sides of me I never even knew were in me. It was bad.
Yes.
And again, I know now what not to do. Same thing with how I parent, how I father, so again,
there's so much power in that, but I can piggyback off of that and say the last relationship that I had wasn't that long. It was maybe like 5 months and it was a fantasy. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to talk about it. Y'all actually need to tune in on Who Can Relate. Yeah. Because we talk about this on the episode.
Fantasy versus reality.
I'm going to end it right here because you need to chime in on Who Can Relate right now. Yeah. I dive in about my exes, my relationships. Justin is giving you hella gems throughout the entire episode. Who Can Relate is live right now.
It's live.
Your baby's live.
My baby's born.
I'm fucking clapping for this because I remember when we met a year ago and I put you onto this podcast world and you were like so inquisitive and so excited and now it's here. And I know how you are. You're very particular. You love what you love and you're not going to do it until it's what you love. And that's so beautiful. I honor that because I'm the girl that's like, that's fine. Let's roll with it.
Yeah, right.
Aquarius, I'm just flowing. That's me.
But I'm the Aquarius too. Aquarius I'm like the other Aquarius.
With the other side. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's so cool because now the whole world gets to see all of your hard work. I know how much hard work you put into it.
Thank you.
So I want to say congratulations.
Thank you. Amen.
I want to shout out Shay for helping you become this incredible fucking human. I want to shout out to you for doing the work and being consistent and being such a role model for men, but to me as well. You helped me through a time where I was a little fucked up and you made me realize that there are good fucking men in this world.
Thank you.
Like I had hope in men when I met you that day because look, my past in my men experiences, I didn't fuck with y'all for a minute. I was a man eater when I turned 30, 31. I'm better now. I'm a lot better now because of the work.
Yeah.
But when I met you, I was like, yo, there are good men out there. The way you loved your wife, the way you wear her on your shirt. Like,
Thank you.
You're an honorable man. So I just want to say thank you for being you.
I appreciate that so much. Yeah, it means a lot because again, I did put in all the work and for it to come to fruition, it's just one of those things where I was like, man, like it is possible, So and last but not least, with my show, like just so people know, like last night I had full disclosure, I had a full on emotional breakdown. And the only reason I'm talking about this is because this is the first time in my life where I'm going to do what I love to do.
Yo, isn't this wild even saying this?
It's
we have emotional breakdowns choosing to do what we love to do.
This is the scariest thing I've ever done.
Wow.
This is the most vulnerable I will ever be. Well, so far, this is the most exposure that I'm putting out there, and I'm scared to death. Like the fact that
I'm so proud of you.
The fact that it's out, it's like I feel like my baby's born and like no one's attending to him or her. They're just laying there crying. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm hella nervous. I'm super scared, but. I started this with the reasons that I gave you guys. And also, if I can help one person,
which you will,
I'll do this show for the next 10 years.
Hell yeah. That means we're going to have Justin 10 motherfucking years because I know you are. I know you are going to change lives.
I hope so.
Our episode alone, the episode with your wife and your daughter alone is going to change lives.
And that's it.
It's facts.
Yeah, I just wanted to help people because I was.
Yo, now you got 10 years, so you just told just put it out there.
I set that bar.
Yep, you set that bar.
So if you guys are, what's the quote or meme that always is out? Like I don't know who needed to hear this or who needed to see this, but for right now, if you are listening and or watching, if you're hearing this is your wake up call. I promise you. If you had that inclination of you know what, something is pulling me, something is bigger than me. My boy Troy hit me with this the other day. He said, your purpose is bigger than the moment. And when that hits you, run with that shit. Like, don't block your blessings. Don't hide it. I've been babysitting this baby now that's born for 2 years.
Wow.
2 years. I have 10 episodes in the tank. Like, everyone else is like, Jay, release it. When is the drop?
Yo, I've been waiting for it.
When is the drop? And I'm like, it's not ready yet. It's not, you know. And I was like, look, September 29th, like, I just got to get it done, you know. So anyways, if you guys are hearing this or watching this, like, this is your message to just do it.
Do it.
Just start it. You might not know how you're going to drive, walk, or run down this path, but just fucking start. Because I'm telling you, man, like, I'm hyped, okay? Because I was like nervous. Now I'm hyped, okay? Because I'm like, this is it. This is my calling. And I also, I want to say this too. It's very important that I'm on your show. Mm-hmm. I remember shadowing you that day. And I remember leaving and I call Shay right away. By the way, you should marry your best friend. If you don't know by now, like, everything goes through Shay. Okay, marry your best friend. That's the life hack of all that. I love that. Okay, so I call Shay leaving your show, and I'm like, babe, like, this is it. But also, like, I'm blown away with Letitia. I was like, I really want to do this. It won't be as good to start, but I just want to start. But I was just like, and I remember just feeling like the energy that you give to these people. And you had 2 guests on that day, and one of them was emotional. Yeah. And it's just, I remember. Ingrid.
That was a powerful podcast.
That was great. And what you did for her, it was so contagious. I was like, oh my God. So what you do on behalf of women, yes, I'm a man, but I have a beautiful little girl. And I also take responsibility that it's my job to do what I can to put in front of her beautiful, powerful women.
Yes.
And so when you met her, that was a big day for me. Yeah. That was a really big day for me because, you give her hope. Yes. Anytime my wife's around her, she gives her hope, and her mom as well. I just want to surround her with powerful, beautiful women. So again, what you do, and what you will do for women is it's a gift. It's really a gift. And we're all, honored.
What's so cool? Thank you so much. Yeah. And it's a gift to be able to do what I love and then it be a gift to people.
Right.
Like, I love women. I know. I love talking to women. I could talk to you all day, Justin. I love doing this.
I know.
I love sharing our stories. I love helping. We are very similar when it comes to that.
Yeah. So thank you. Well, you're welcome. But hence that video we did in the hotel room.
Yo, I'm about to. It's dropped. It's dropped.
Yeah. I had this. I had this janky, like, it wasn't even a tripod. I put my phone on the windowsill. I don't even know what the hell happened.
It was literally in the hotel room. We're like trying to make it work, but we had this dope message. You can go on my profile right now and watch it. Yeah. And now we're here.
Oh man.
Now we're here. So we're gonna stop this. We're gonna have a part 2 coming up, and it's gonna be called, new segment, ladies and gentlemen, Girl, He Got Us, featuring Justin Davis.
Hey.
His new podcast, his new show is out right now. Who can relate? Yeah. Our episode is out right now. He also has a very, very powerful episode with his wife and his daughter. Mm-hmm. Tune in. Tell them again one more time where they can tune in to see you.
Yeah. So if you guys want to listen to it, it's on Apple, it's on Spotify, all their podcast platforms. If you want to watch the full episode, it's on YouTube. It's Just Davis, the number 88. It's JUST DAVIS, the number 88. And my Instagram is Mr. MR Just Davis. So, and it's an honor to be a part of the Girl We Got This crew. I won't take this lightly. I want all the women to know they're like probably territorial right now.
Yeah, you just entered the whole girl zone.
It's Girl, we got this. What's he doing on? You know what I'm saying? But I promise you, I'm gonna do my part, and my best to come correct. And listen, I also want to learn.
We want men to want to learn, and we want men to help us. We need men to support us. We need more men like you. So we thank you too. We welcome you. Our arms are open. Yeah. Our ears are open. We're here for it. All right. So we're going to see Justin next month, guys. Tune in. Mm-hmm. Who can relate? Yo, I go in on the podcast with him. You got to get in it. Yeah. I just want to remind you all right now, fellas and women,